Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Austin Bruins Coaches Show. I'm the voice of the Bruins, David Coyer. Joining me this week for the first time is Assistant Coach Robby Murray. Robby, I know you got a little bit of nerves to be here on the Coaches Show, but we want fans to get to see and hear a little bit more from you, so thanks for joining us this week.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited.
And like I mentioned, we want fans to be able to get to know Robby a little bit more. I think the only time that they've really gotten to actually hear from you was you were the first ever episode of Goal Line to Goal Line. That was earlier on in the season. So just give a little bit of background about yourself to the fans. I know you've had obviously you've played hockey for a while. You've even played in this league. You've had some family play in this league. Just tell fans a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm from the South. I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's where I started playing hockey, and I actually started coaching there too. Ended up playing for the Nashville Junior Predators in Tennessee, and then was fortunate enough to play some games for the Shreveport Mudbucks. Coaching-wise, I've been lucky enough to be alumni coach everywhere I've been. Starting in Charlotte with the Queen City Royals, and then coaching for the Junior Preds, and even got to scout for Shreveport for a couple weeks, and that's as far as me. And I have some family in the league as well. My brother played for Shreveport, and now he's with the Elmira Aviators in the East Division. So, I got some family in the league. And
this is your first time really coaching at this level. Couple months in, how are you enjoying it, and what are some things that maybe you've learned along the way as an assistant coach in the North American Hockey League?
Yeah, I didn't realize how different it is coaching junior hockey than it is coaching youth hockey. I mean, from the things about off ice, thinking about how our staff is, we're running our team, from, yes, the on ice stuff and the video stuff, but then, the things outside of that, like ordering equipment and sticks and getting skates done and all that good stuff aren't really things you had to pay too much attention to at youth hockey. And, Howie and Al have been great to showing me the way and giving me some good advice on how I can be a better coach and how I need to be more involved, and not just that maybe I need to be more involved in this way, but how, what they're looking for. And, I've been really fortunate enough to end up here with them too, and them kind of looking out for me and helping coach me be a better coach.
And in your first season, having a little bit of success here with the Bruins, especially the hot streak that the team has been on. A big weekend against the Minnesota Mallards here from Riverside last weekend. A 7-1 victory on Friday, a 5-3 victory on Saturday. 12 goals, which the 7 on Friday, the most that the Bruins have scored in one game this season, and the 12 goals, the most in a combined 2 games this season for the Black and Gold. What stood out to you about the team's performance this weekend against Minnesota?
I run the forwards, and so Howie talks a lot about how we're a team that's built on our forecheck, and we're a hardworking team, and we actually did some video today, and just showing the guys that our goals, our offense comes from our work and putting pucks in and getting in there, turning the puck over. Now we have it, and then really what really's changed since that little skid we went on is now we're attacking. We're working hard. We're turning the pucks over. Now we're starting to get to the net, and that's what we worked on practice today and talked about in video today. But there was a lot of good clips to show them of just. That was the big difference. What we did a really good job of is I think about Tyler Shaver's first goal. Then I for 45 seconds, it's just work, get the putt back, get it to the house, get a shot, retrieve it, get it low to high, get it to the house, get a shot, and then finally he scores and gets his first one. And it's we were really starting to figure out who we are as a team, and that's fun to watch.
3 different first career goals this weekend. Tyler Shaver, as you mentioned. Evan Malkasian finally getting his first, and then Jake Sprates getting his first in that 7-1 victory on Friday. Talking about all these people getting their first goals, one thing we've talked about with Coach Howard, Coach Rooney here on the Coaches Show, and you and I have kind of talked a little bit off camera, is a little bit of sharing the love. We highlight the all-Canadian line of E.J. Paddington, Alex Lorenzo, Luke Mulcazian constantly because they've been the line that has really been performing all season long. But what we see this past weekend, 15 different point scorers across the 2 games, including 8 multi-point performances across the weekend. Alex Lorenzo, of course, getting his hat trick, winning North American Hockey League Central Division first star of the week. But talk about how nice it is to, share the love a little bit more. Again, like I said, 15 different point scorers. How relieving is it as a coach to finally see some of the other forwards, maybe some other defensemen starting to produce a little bit more?
It's no secret that we have quite a few new players on our team this year, and a lot of guys making the jump from youth hockey to junior hockey, and it was so exciting to see those guys get their first goals. I mean, a lot of those guys they've just been so close, and it just hasn't been able to go. Sprates has been close. Shaver's been close. Haruza scored this weekend, and he had already had his first, but he's just been so close. And so to watch those guys finally score, finally start to put up some points, it was nice, and I'm sure they're relieved. But from watching their game over the past couple of weeks, you just kind of knew it was coming. And you just don't know when, but you knew it was coming. So it was nice that that they get the monkey off the back, and that those walls finally fell and the puck got on the net for them.
And it was a 2-goal difference both in goals for and goals allowed between Friday and Saturday, 7-1, 5-3 respectively. A little bit of a nail-biter kind of later there in the Saturday night's game, including a power play goal on a 5-minute major to kick off that third period to bring it within 1 goal. What would you say are the biggest differences between what was a 6-goal differential on Friday and a little bit closer game on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, what I really noticed and what we talked about was, our first period was good both games. Game 1 up 4-0, game 2 up 3-0. Both games we had a lull in the second. We didn't play our best hockey in the second. And the difference was Saturday night it hurt us a little bit more than it did Friday night. And thankfully that we have a younger group who's figuring out to handle adversity, and you look at our stretch that we're on now, and we're starting to figure it out. And it was nice to see that, hey, when things don't go our way, and that we can respond and hold on. And that was the difference of maybe what happened Saturday, where we were able to still get a good win, versus when we were kind of, a month ago when we were, figuring out how to handle adversity. So, I guess the simple answer is our second period hurt us a little bit more on Saturday.
And in many games this year, it feels like that second period is when the Bruins have felt a little bit more lulls. We've talked previously, and I've talked with Coach Howard, Coach Rooney, about how Friday games almost coming out flat. There's a lot of first period flatness, but then it seems like in certain games, at least earlier in the season, Bruins would come out strong in the first period, maybe take the foot off the gas a little bit more in the second period before picking it back up in the third. Is that something that you've noticed throughout the season in multiple games? And if so, how do you get past that? How do you get past playing only 40 minutes in the first and the third period, as opposed to playing a full 60, including a nice strong second period?
Yeah, I mean, once again, just referencing that we have a younger group, and I think there's 2 parts of the second period. One is the mental part of it, of first period, it's easy to get up for. It's the start of the game. You want to play. You've been waiting all day for it. Third period's the final stretch, like the clutch moments, the exciting moments, where the second period kind of, there isn't that immediate excitement. And so that there's that mental aspect of it that we got to continue to grow in we got to be up and get focused after the intermission and keep that intensity. And then there's the other part of it is it's the easiest period to tilt the ice and build momentum. I mean, your offensive zone's right by your bench. If you're able to get in there and stay in there, and then you're able to change while you're in the offensive zone, it becomes really easy to get some sustained zone time and wear the other teams down. And once you're penned, it's hard to flip it. I mean, you got to win a D-zone draw, or you got to get a clear that's not an ice. And then you have to, sustain it to where you can get a change down there that keeps the pressure up. So, you come out a little flat in the second, and then the ice starts to tilt your way, then it's easy to, step on their throats and keep going. But, where we've got to continue to get better is coming out hard right away, tilt the ice right away, and that's something that we do. I think we've been doing a good job of in the first and third, but we just got to add it to the second period.
You look at the first and third period of Friday night's game, no goals allowed by Devin Rustley. There was just one that was snuck by there in the second. Jack Solomon, a shutout in the first period, allowing a few more coming along in the second and third, including the power play in the third. But those two goalies have been strong for the Bruins this year. But some news from earlier this week, Devin Rustley actually getting called up to the Cedar Rapids Rough Riders of the USHL. He was 4-1, 0-1 this year, including a shutout against Watertown back in October. He had a .937 save percentage, 1.64 goals against average. So Devin Rustley, congratulations to him. He will definitely be missed here in Austin, but coming back to the roster, Andrew Dubin, who Bruins fans might recognize from earlier on this season. And for those of you who follow our sister team in the NA3 in Rochester, the Rochester Grizzlies, Dubin 3-1 this year with a 3.75 goals against average and .891 save percentage. He's back with the team, pairing up with Jack Solomon. Talk about not only what Devin Rustley contributed to this team and how he'll be missed, but the return of Andrew Dubin, who you got to see a little bit in this preseason.
Yeah, I mean, it's bittersweet. I mean, Dev getting the call up, we're extremely happy for him, and he's earned it. And it was sad when he left, and it was in a sense great to see him when he was leaving, how distraught he was, and the boys were to lose him. As they really enjoyed having him in the room. But bringing Andrew Dubin back, I mean, looking back at orientation camp in the beginning of the year, we had 3 really good goalies. And we end up going with Jack and Devin, and even though that Andrew Dubin's a good goalie, so with Devin getting the call up, it's nice that now Dubs can come up and step in, and I know the boys got to know him a little bit last year as he stayed up here and skated with the team, and as he was a part of our group the start of this year. So I know it's bittersweet, lose a good friend, lose a good goalie, but excited to get a good goalie up here and get a new friend back up here.
For me, selfishly, I know I'm going to miss Rustley just because he was my Badger and Packer guy. He was the guy from Wisconsin who was actually a Wisconsin sports fan who I could talk with. Of course, we got Nate Williams from Racine, but we all know he's a Lions fan and a Tigers fan for some reason. But I got to talk with Rusty about Packers and Badgers. But again, like we said, congratulations to Devin Rustley for making it up to the USHL. Of course, we'll be following him along for the rest of the season, see how he does there in Cedar Rapids. But moving back to the Bruins, currently 2 games into a 5-game homestand, longest homestand of the season for the Black and Gold, who are 4-2-0-1 here at Riverside Arena, including 4-0-1 since the 2-game sweep against Minot in the home opening weekend, that overtime loss coming against Bismarck in that 3-point weekend. So obviously we all know about home rink advantage, and clearly that's in play here for the Bruins. What do you think is the key to playing so well at home, especially here at Riverside Arena?
I think just it goes into almost the uncontrollables when you're at home. I mean, from a week perspective, you don't have to take the road trip into account. You can have a full practice on Thursday. You can sleep in your own bed Thursday night, Friday night. You can eat where you want to eat. You can eat, whether the players eating at their billet house or they have a spot they like to have a pregame meal. Those things become a lot easier to control. And so we get a little extra more time to work with our guys on things and make sure we're a little more prepared. But then, who doesn't enjoy playing at home? Like playing at Riverside in front of the fans, it's something easy to get excited about and play well, especially in a scenario where, we haven't had a lot of home games yet. We don't have a lot of returners. So we have a lot of guys who haven't played here. And I know they get fired up in the short amount of time that they have and the few games that they've had. And I know we're excited for them to get to experience that more. One with the Mallards that we just had at home, but with Watertown coming up in North Iowa on Thanksgiving.
And, now you mentioned Watertown coming up this weekend, so we can transition from the performance last weekend to what's coming up here against Watertown. With that trip to Aberdeen, the Bruins have now seen everybody in the Central Division. So now this is the second time that the Bruins will see the Shamrocks, who are new to the Central Division this year. They're coming to town here on Friday and Saturday, 7:05 puck drop. Friday night, Austin Youth Hockey Night, and then Saturday it's Teddy Bear Toss. So make sure you bring your new or slightly used teddy bears when the Bruins score their first goal. You'll throw it out on the ice, and all thrown teddy bears and stuffed animals will then be donated to the Salvation Army. Of course, you can get your tickets, as it says there on the screen, tickets.austinbruins.com. But in that Watertown series at the end of October, a 3-2 overtime win with all 3 goals coming in the third period or later, and then a 5-0 shutout the next night, courtesy of Devin Russley in net. What does a week of practice look like after scoring 12 goals, only allowing 4, and then going up against a team that, well, you've had success against in the past?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at our division, everybody's good. I mean, everybody's good from top to bottom. I mean, even Watertown, they're great. We played them, Friday night, and it was a battle. And unfortunately, Saturday night wasn't, but Friday night was a battle. It was a good game, so there's no weekends off in our division. So, we're not letting the foot off the gas. We're not taking things easy. But when we go and have a successful weekend and we earn some fun, just like we did, last weekend against the Mallards, that, Mondays we usually let the guys, play some 4-on-4, enjoy some time together and have some fun playing hockey with each other. But, there's no easy game in our division. There's no easy game. So, just a normal week of terms of preparation and video and practice, that we're still going hard and trying to get ready for the task at hand.
And there is you've said it, Coach Howard said it, Coach Rooney said it, there is no easy game in the Central Division. I mean, you even looked this past weekend, Watertown, despite having been on a 12-game losing streak, actually beating St. Cloud on Friday night. So, I mean, anything can happen, obviously, on any given night. Currently on a 9-game point streak, however, are the Black and Gold. So a long stretch of success right now that actually dated back. The first win on this streak coming on the 19th of October against the St. Cloud Norsemen, followed up by the weekend sweep against Watertown. Does that also play into, you mentioned Mondays kind of having a little bit of fun once you have a good weekend. How does a point streak also play into that? Obviously, we've had 2 weekends where it hasn't been a clean sweep, but it's been 3-point weekends, and we've seen maybe a little bit more fun at practice sometimes in those weeks, but then some harder practice. It's still coming up. Where does that point streak play into everything?
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at it for us, and we have a pretty good squad this year. And, the season just kind of telling a story. I mean, we start off hot early on, playing really well, and then, adversity hits. And, having a younger group, we were on a point streak right away, and then we go where we're struggling to get a point of just, okay, maybe each of those games, some games weren't great, but some games we played well and just couldn't get a point, and it's okay when adversity hits, how do we handle that? And, through that streak that wasn't great, we figured it, we took some good steps on, I want to say figure it out, because I don't know if you ever do, but we gained a good understanding on how as a group, how we handle adversity. And now coming out of it, being able to get a win at St. Cloud and then a win against Watertown, and it was okay, now we got some adversity, talking again about those first 2 games of the streak. And St. Cloud, overtime game. Watertown, the first game, overtime game, where they're hard games. There's adversity, and where maybe, we didn't handle it the best way during that skid. We handled it a better way against those games to start it. I mean, grabbing points against Bismarck in overtime, Aberdeen in overtime, has just been handling the adversity in a much better way, to where we can hang on and keep pushing to where we're able to get a point, if not 2.
And actually, on this 9-game point streak, if my math is correct, let's see, St. Cloud, Watertown, Bismarck, and Aberdeen, 4 games have actually gone to overtime, with the Bruins evenly splitting them. You had the overtime win against St. Cloud, like you mentioned, against Watertown, as we mentioned, then the shootout loss against Bismarck. Still, again, that weekend, a huge weekend, 3 points against the best team in the North American Hockey League, handing the Bobcats their first regulation loss, and then a tough overtime loss that first night in Aberdeen. So picking up points wherever you can. Talking about this streak, going back to October the 19th until now, last time the Bruins saw Watertown, it was at the beginning of the streak, like we mentioned. What's different between the team that was all the way back there in October as opposed to the team now here at the end of November?
You mean the Bruins or
the Bruins? Yes,
Bruins.
sorry, Bruins.
Yeah. I think just we continue to mature as a group and grow. I mean, I think we're really starting to find our identity as a team. Coming in, you have a bunch of guys from different places, especially us not having a lot of returners again, and coming in and talking about, okay, what does it mean to be a Bruin? How do Bruins play? And having that identity. And, that's something that we've been talking a lot about with our guys, and that identity, we're starting to own it and starting to show it on the ice. And that second game we had against Watertown, where Dev had the shutout, was we really played to our identity. I mean, we were hunting pucks, we were fast, we were getting on there, we were turning it over, we were physical, we were getting the net. I thought we did the same thing against Bismarck when they came into town, and that was why we had success. We did it against the Mallards, especially Friday night. We did it pretty consistently to where we were on them, turning pucks over, putting, we call it breaking the plane, but making their D turn and making life hard on them, and that's been the difference is how we handle adversity, but two is we're starting to figure out who we are, we're starting to own it and make other teams adjust to it, and it's been fun to be a part of and fun to watch.
Well, I think that's really all we had for you on this episode of the Coaches Show. Was it as bad as you thought it was going to be?
No, it wasn't.
It's. I mean, so for those of you who don't know, Robby and I are actually roommates, and so we talk a lot about hockey when we get home. So all you had to think about of this was we're just having a conversation like we would be in the kitchen. So I think it made it that much easier. But this Saturday again, teddy bear toss. I'm really good at timing. Somehow when the graphic says it on the side.
Perfect, huh?
I did that in the last episode with Coach Howard, and it seems like it works twice now in this one. But this Saturday, 7:05 puck drop. Bring your new or slightly used teddy bears or stuffed animals to the rink, and when the first Bruin scores, throw them out on the ice, and all of those collected will be donated to the Salvation Army. Last year, we challenged fans to get to 500 for the first time. They got to 511 stuffed animals. This year, I think we're trying to see if we can get to 600. We for sure want to beat our total from last year. If you wanted to issue the challenge right now to our fans, what number do you want them to hit?
600.
600 from Robby Murray right now. Have you been to a teddy bear toss game?
This is my first one.
I was about to say, I vaguely remember you telling me that.
Not as a fan or a coach, so.
Said not at all.
So I'm hoping there's 600 teddy bears out there.
This is going to be my fourth, and they're so much fun. It's so much fun, and I've heard that they're even more fun here, so make it fun for Robby, guys. Make sure that you bring out your teddy bears. And, of course, Friday, Bruins are also still in town. 7:05 puck drop for Austin Youth Hockey Night. Tickets to both games can be found at tickets.austinbruins.com, or you can head over to one of our flex ticket vendors, Jim's Marketplace, Hy-Vee, or Games People Play to get your flex tickets that are good to any Bruins home game except Paint the Rink Pink Night, which is coming up in February along with the Black and Gold Gala. For more information on everything, visit austinbruins.com. But for now, you can come over to the Austin Bruins YouTube channel every other Thursday for a brand new episode of the Coaches Show. Next time, we'll be visiting with head coach Steve Howard once again, but assistant coach Robby Murray, thanks for joining us on this episode.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time, have a good week, everybody.